Welcome. Thank you for taking some time out in your day again to join us. At Riverside, it's always great to see you. I've been watching Discord chat and seeing everybody who is here today. Love the engagement and love that you've just taken some time out of your day.
Yeah, echoing that. We've got a lot to cover today, so let's dig in. And then, of course, like Ash said, we'll be sharing this out recorded. Thank you in advance, Vanessa, and across other channels too. We are planning on covering a lot of topics today. Firstly, some of our progress on Web3 for Good. Have some really exciting updates on our purpose initiatives. Talking a little bit more about brand building and edutainment, as we've been calling it internally. Some great staffing updates, and then what's next? Ash, do you want to start with some of the sort of trends updates, especially from SEC, OS, all the craziness that's been going on in the last week or so?
Everyone's favorite topics. I won't burden everyone too much with just regulatory. I'll actually probably do a post on this just in the Discord for those that are interested and want to engage in this. But I even did a post on just recently with some of the scares that were coming out yesterday against SEC and some litigation. It's not even SEC, but some litigation against Top Shot NFT, where, again, everyone is looking at this as precedent setting on just how are the courts, deeming some of these NFTs, these offerings, if they are securities or not. And so definitely speaks to my listening. And while I don't see any precedent changing soon, it does cause a lot of speculation and fear for how tokens are going to be treated in the future. And then others on top of that was some recent stuff against Binance, their called BUSD, which is their cryptocurrency. And you're seeing a number of efforts done by Gary Gensler, is his name. He is the chairman of the SEC. You see a lot of memes and people making fun of him on the internet and Twitter, where he is trying to argue that even stable coins are deemed as securities. So starting with Binance, but USDC is a fast follower. So for those of you that aren't completely aware, Tether is by far the largest stable coin, so also known as USDT. And then USDC is right behind it with, I think, a market cap of 40 billion or something like that. So some pretty intense ramifications if any of this does play out, and it's just been kind of marking the media waves. I won't go into too much. We could save that for a side bet, but a side conversation. It's just worth noting, what's kind of happening in the world around us, as that absolutely impacts, I think, where we're going and what becomes available to us, and where there will be continued hurdles or challenges or possibly opportunities. So amazing. The second biggest thing that's on everyone's radar is OpenSea. A couple of the choices between them and Blur as part of this marketplace wars. I hate even playing into that and calling it, but this does have some pretty severe ramifications. I've voiced my side for the creator economy here, for people and projects being able to list the creator royalties, and I endorse it. I support it. They set the terms for their art, their project, their revenue streams, and without that, this makes continued business very, very difficult for a lot of projects that are looking to monetize, and it forces different and alternative revenue streams that some people just may not like, and it forces innovative models like subscriptions and others that unfortunately become inevitable. And so I'd love to have a Discord chat coming up with some of the holders as we even evaluate our own smart contract. I do not take this lightly, but we have been talking internally about what to do ourselves, as OpenSea right now is the only marketplace that was enforcing creator royalties that go to pay for things like our team, project innovation, continued enhancements, things of that nature. And so I would just love to get some continued thoughts from the community on the best way to proceed with some of this. I don't see OpenSea holding this forever, but it is getting harder and harder to compete with other marketplaces, and them changing on a whim makes this very difficult to plan as a business that does need to plan and forecast out, and also hinders additional dealings, right, with other kind of partnerships if they don't know where cash flows and revenue streams are coming from. So I'd love to table that for a different discussion in Discord, but it has definitely been on our mind, and something that we're proactively doing with our developers right now is just assessing the smart contract redeployment efforts. What would that take? How do we minimize any kind of disruption to every single holder as much as possible? All of those things. So collecting all of that official data, all of those official steps on the best move, and then would love some feedback from this group. I won't go into too many more trends, I think, than that. Regulatory and smart contracts are boring enough.
Favorite topics, our favorite topics here. I
I
want to
know,
give some
exactly.
highlights and shout outs to the community. Thank you, Buching and Oliver P, for the Discord emojis and stickers. They're so
Yes.
good. It's so fun to see those.
Yeah.
Please use them everywhere. Thank you to Future Sites Echo for the amazing weekly spaces. I don't know if y'all have seen this, but I wanted to highlight their amazing series on Twitter. It's at Future Site E that they're doing with their PFP, Chimia, and they're using like AI tools to basically 3D render, voiceover, bring their PFP to life. So cool. Amazing work. Please check it out. And then, of course, shout out to Hawaii Marine Life and our Inner Circle Ambassadors group. Y'all are amazing. It's so exciting to get to know y'all better, and we have some more time planned together. So excited to get to know each and every one of you too. And then finally, of course, thank you and shout outs to Tatake and Synchro for continuing to moderate our Discord and make it the most welcoming space and place possible. Ash, do you want to talk a little bit about our purpose initiatives and some super exciting updates there?
Yes. So hinted at this one, a little bit of a deviation for a good reason, but we always highlighted back when we were minting that up to 20% of our minting proceeds would go to supporting purpose initiatives in the areas of sustainability, gender and racial equality and social inclusion, and then mental wellness. It's broad, it's intersectional. We are unapologetic about that. We wanted to be able to go anywhere, do some amazing things. While we had originally thought the first purpose initiative would be focused around sustainability, it is actually the second pillar. So we are extremely excited to announce that both with some of the efforts that we had done with water earlier in the year with UNICEF and others and some Roe v. Wade support, we have contributed an additional up to, I think we're almost at 100,000 dollars towards affordable housing initiatives in greater Milwaukee, and those houses are complete. So I will be posting some photos here in Discord. What this means for those that don't come from the US or necessarily know or followed some of this story is at the height of Black Lives Matter, there was some violent incidences in the areas of Kenosha, just outside greater Milwaukee. And it is one of the most disenfranchised areas of the US when it comes to home ownership, equitable wealth and home ownership. It's very racially divided, where I think it's like a 78% is owned by white families versus Black. And so it has been a mission and one of the core tenets of Gita, one of our co-founders here, to try and deal with generational wealth creation. And one of the fastest ways to do that is actually through real estate and actually owning land. And so when you look at some of these areas like Kenosha and in greater Milwaukee, this is where they had some of the highest concentrations of those fast money marts where they're cashing in paychecks and things with the rates associated. So you're losing almost 20 cents on the dollar just to even get your cash because they didn't have bank accounts. They were paying egregious rental fees and things and just never really making a dent. And so it was important to us to partner with the Rotary Club down in Milwaukee, some philanthropic dollars, and then contribute some of our own, as well as some of the capital, significant portion of capital from our labs to make this a reality. And so this is, we're at 4 units right now, 2 separate duplexes that have been bought, completely refurbished and redone and then listed and are moving in some families. So you can imagine it as 4 units, pretty powerful on what that can do for a greater economy. It doesn't affect all of us, but it makes me feel pretty damn great that you're helping GDP growth, you're helping economic stimulus in a city in an area that needs it. So we could not be more proud of this group. I know we all set that intention early that we wanted, proceeds and things to make a difference that felt real and felt tangible and we can touch. And I'm excited to share some of these images with you, and they're pretty powerful. I think, especially when you see before and after of what this has done to a community and to a family and what that can continue to do.
Yeah. I mean, housing is typically not affordable or accessible for the poorest among us. So, core to our mission in terms of providing access to equitable wealth creation and shelter for those most in need. We want to commemorate this on the blockchain for y'all. We have some fun ideas, but we're open to suggestions on how we can celebrate it together. Our vision has always been, how do we create real world impact that is driven with a community through technology that's cutting edge, so through blockchain. So super proud of this as our first impact initiative that we can see real impact in the real world, and can't wait to celebrate it with y'all.
Yeah. And on the demethanization plant, asked a lot of questions. Thank you for holding us to it. The company that we had partnered with has gone through a very large financing and was put under exclusive NDAs where nothing could get disclosed up until recently. They actually just press released 2 days ago, right, Chelsea? They have done $548 million financing with institutional investors for some of the financing of their demethanization plants. One is the largest North America, which is actually up here in Alberta, another one in Colorado, other things to happen. So, apologies. We wanted to be able to share some more announcements and are eagerly looking to pursue that one. We have our commitments to that project, in addition to some other things that we're planning on doing with the demethanization plant in the future. But there was a good reason. I swear this happened with Judith Lieber too. Remember, like we get all excited about it, and then there's some bigger player than us, like Kardashians or someone else, that stifles our releases and our plans. But that one's pretty huge. The company is well underway to be one of the larger sustainable energy and infrastructure players, I think, in the US and in Canada. And we're excited to be a small part in that development and show, again, that we can align some of our contributions and proceeds to something innovative and cool beyond philanthropy is great, and we've done that as well. But that is a reason that we were not able to share until Tuesday once this press release came out, but it is still on our horizon and in our sights. But that's just some clarity on where those projects are today and continuing to scale. So all of this sits at a portfolio behind us at our labs, and are looking to try and optimize that when it allows. So I'm excited to share that news.
Nothing like turning shit into energy. I'm going to shift gears and take us to brand building. Hopefully you all know and are attracted to the different vibe that we have here at Our Planet. We're not a FOMO project. We're optimists. We're still conscious hustlers, and we're intentionally using blockchain to help ourselves and others around us. We believe that technology exists to empower people to co-create a better world. And so because of that, our purpose is to, as we've shared with you all in the past, find, equip, and empower the next generation of creators, entrepreneurs, investors. And we're doing through growing our, what we're calling edutainment, we'll get into that in a minute, division, our academy, and supporting purpose initiatives, both IRL and in Web3. We want to be the most incredible, purposeful brand in Web3, and then beyond that invites amazing people, advisors, creatives in a space that helps us push it forward in a meaningful way and actually bridge to Web 2 and to mass adoption in ways that folks within Web 2 understand and can consume. And a big way that we do that as humans is through storytelling. So we have refreshed our identity, as I think y'all have hopefully seen. We've rolled out our new logo. Thank you, Rye, Vanessa, team, getting that across different social platforms. And you've seen sneak peeks of our new brand book. It is done. Yay. We are sharing it with our inner circle next, and then happy to share it with wider community after that. But I want to zero in on a second on what does it mean to broaden our audiences. We've talked about before, we're in an echo chamber right now, and we have been for a while, I think, in Web3. And in order to
cul-de-sac, that sounds better.
Cul-de-sac, echo chamber, whatever you want to call it. And there's a ton of conscious hustlers that exist beyond our Web3 space in our small little cul-de-sac. Ash and I have done a ton of research, and coming from brand and marketing and strategy, millennials and Gen Z are the most diverse, inclusive, and purpose-oriented generations that this planet has ever seen. And they're also inheriting over $23 trillion of wealth in a generational wealth transfer over the next decade. And so it's important to think about these two communities because they're really going to have the purchasing power that will change the way that institutions, brands, communities, et cetera, interact with each other. And this is the group that we need to bring into the fold from a blockchain technology perspective in ways that are easy and understandable to them. And the reality is they have some real fear of the NFT and crypto space. Like we've talked about in the past, the only thing that they've heard about is Jimmy Fallon getting sued and FTX stealing $10 billion. So that's the reality that this sort of mass audience sits in. And our perspective is that the best way to teach and onboard is through edutainment, through education, and through entertainment, which can be scaled and monetized and can continue to create value for our holders. So, I mean, I think some of the examples that we talk about internally and that y'all have heard us talk about are Captain Planet, of course, and Marvel as great examples of this media ability to scale and to tell stories that are understandable and compelling to mass audiences. And our art is pretty cool. It seems like every holder, yeah,
This beautiful tool.
Totally. I think all of us, and speaking for myself and all of us more broadly, have PFPs or hold PFPs that have traits or powers or gifts or features that they really resonate with. And we built that intentionally so that anyone in the millennial and Gen Z audience will be able to relate and scale with us. Would love to talk for a minute about our sort of dream scenario over the next few years. I think there's a big caveat. This is a dream scenario, but it's important to paint that future picture together because that's where we're headed as a community, and that's how we onboard Web 2. So let's imagine for a second that our planet is a TV series. It exists on multiple streaming platforms. It is in 30-minute segments, and it does exactly what we want it to do from a Captain Planet reboot perspective. It's teaching people how to be incredible to both the planet and to the people who live here, teaching us to be good stewards, and all underpinned by cutting-edge tech, blockchain technology, AI, etc. This show and series includes characters and scenes from the existing collection today, but future collections as well as we expand what this world looks like, and can't wait to share more of that with you. Lots of future extensions from a character development perspective there as well. And then maybe at the end of each episode, there are helpful resources for every viewer to learn how to help be a good steward to each other and to the planet. And maybe there's a planet a website, a planet that they can go to too, but a website they can go to where they can learn more, where they can contribute to the causes that we care about as well. And maybe they can redeem a collectible there that might not be called an NFT, it might be called something different that connects them to this greater ecosystem and greater Captain Planet Marvel mashup that is our planet today. And like I said, this is a dream scenario, but you can imagine all of the extensions that come from that we're already making progress against, whether that's merchandising or exploration within alcoholic and non-alcoholic beverages, which we'll share a little bit more about updates there in a minute. And ultimately, the goal is to transcend NFTs. I think we all know that we exist in this space that's an echo chamber today, but we need to be able to expand beyond it to scale and to onboard the entire Web 2 massive audiences. So that helps us because the more people that know and learn about our planet, the more value that we create, and the more places that we get to show up in the world, whether that's content, e-commerce, events, product placement, partnerships, more, etc. So on that note, we don't have a TV show today, but we have beefed up our storylines, our character development, our episodes, as well as our animation and graphics. We've mentioned that we've been working with Rita, super talented group from an animation perspective that does a lot of the work for Otherside and BAYC. Ash and I are on WhatsApp with them, getting updates every day that look amazing. And we're excited to share that out with you all as it develops. We've also brought on some key advisors. We'll talk about them in just a minute here that are going to help us bring our vision to life. Yeah, thank you, Ash. 3 weeks away, 3 to 4 weeks away. That's fair. Okay, that's fine. And I'm happy for us to share some of the images from the renderings, not all of them, but because they do need some work and development, but I'd love to share some of those sneak peeks. And yeah, we'll talk a little bit about the advisors that we've brought on to help bring the vision to life. But for some context, one of them teaches storytelling to Disney, Pixar, and some of the largest animation and creative and media companies in the world. So very excited to have some more folks on board to help us strengthen this and give us a stronger foundation to amplify the brand and bring more awareness to our planet and to our holders. Any other timelines we need to talk about there, Ash, or is that okay for summary
No,
updates on brand building?
beautifully said.
Okay.
It's, Chelsea's really good, I think, about narrating and helping people understand a vision for something, but we are taking steps to do what we can to make this a reality in some different forms. And that brings advisory talent in the right butts in the right seats that know how to do this. And it's been incredibly, I think, validating from the conversations I've heard. This is Chelsea's power alley. That there is room in the marketplace and from a content standpoint for being just a good steward, a good person. There is content out there, both animated and others, comic book and other things alike, that can still stand for what we stand for. So I think there's absolutely room to dominate in a way that some other, projects in the space, while they may be doing their own animation studios or living within the Web3 ecosystem for their content, I think we do see some real potential here for us to transcend and resonate with people, because our art is so personalized and it's fluid and it's different. You can resonate with GIFs, characters, that widespread. So we're really eager and excited. We're seeing some of the ideas. I know they haven't gone into a grant program or anything yet, but we're seeing some, I think even future sites, somebody was highlighting it, future story development and things like that. That will all be integrated as part of the PFP and metadata upgrades that we want your help, I think, with some of this character development and things. And I think we can activate this brand, this content, and this character development in a different way, with you all included, than it just being served on a platter and this is what it is. I think it's you building it with us. And so we're going to set that up. But I just think this could be just,
going back to purpose, this is about co-creating. And so we're excited to do that with you all. There are, of course, some guardrails that we need to operate within from a storytelling and lore perspective, and that's why we have some expert guidance on that front. But everyone has a role to play in bringing this to life. So we're excited to do that with you. Yeah. Ash, would you want to pivot to some of our more challenging updates from a staffing perspective?
This one's going to be tougher. I'm really glad I'm not face to face with too many of you. I knew this was going to happen. Some staffing. Well, first and foremost, we're so grateful to the community members that we have met through this, brought on teams, Hawaii Marine Life. We're just looking to expand this as much as possible, and the community involvement. I've never been so humbled. It met every expectation and then exceeded it once you had the right people. And I love some of the narrative that it's okay to lose people. If they weren't aligned with your purpose, they weren't going to be here in the long term anyways. And so it's been amazing to find some of our core talent here and then expand. And we have a few new faces that we will be rolling out here soon. Excited. But on the notion of Geeta, who was a prominent player in our early days of this project, a lot of you got to see her in a number of the podcasts and things that I was on while Chelsea was on mat leave. It's someone I've worked with for about 14 years straight.
Ash, I'm happy to jump in if you want me to.
Yeah, that's okay. Sorry, guys. Geeta has been diagnosed with a terminal illness coming up at the end of the year. Yeah, Chelsea, take it. Sorry.
Yeah, I got it. Now that you're, it's okay. It's okay. This is real life. Geeta has been an amazing leader to Ashley and to Eva and other members of our team, and has been an incredible mentor to me personally as well. So she's also a visionary. She's taught us so much. We're so grateful. She is needing to step away from the business to take care of her friends and family, and she has just recently given us the thumbs up to share more broadly with our community. And so our hearts and our prayers and all of our thoughts are with Geeta constantly, and we adore her. And it actually has put more of a fire under our own asses to build this into something that she can be super proud of from a legacy perspective. And so we're not going anywhere. But Geeta, a few of you have mentioned, where's Geeta? We miss her too. She's going to be stepping away permanently from our labs and our planet, and no one can fill that hole. But we're here for the long haul, and we'll be looking to continue to build our team so that we can execute on the vision and the shared purpose that we all have together. So
thank you. Oh, it doesn't matter how many times I rehearse it and say it. See, now I laugh because I'm uncomfortable. No, I appreciate that, Chelsea. This one's just tough. Geeta had, I know she shared it on an earlier space, and she had some custom art made by Nessie, our artist, because she has a zipper scar from here to here from having cancer in her 20s. This is it's not even the same cancer, which is just unbelievable. So she's mentioned this to our team, our advisors. We have done everything we can to support her, give her the space that she needs to tell the family and friends that were involved in this in her 20s. And the fact she's doing this again, and then set up what we need to on the other sides of the business that needed to be done. And again, Chelsea, thank you for saying that. It just reinforced our commitment to this. This can be so much, hold to everything that I think we ever set. We wanted to be a social impact company from day one, and that was going to take many forms. And so I think we still have all of that conviction to do so. But appreciate it. It was a little bit difficult to not be able to mention. She was in the hospital with her Discord on, and we kept telling her, get off. You do not need to be on Discord, please. People will be looking for you. But wanted to highlight and share that now that she's given us permission to this week. And just appreciate already seeing some hearts and support. So appreciate that all. I know this isn't easy for me personally or our team. What that does do, just so people are aware, is there are some just some modifications in time, and that's hence why you just haven't seen her showing up as prominently, and some of the shift of just our advocacy for certain areas of our business at our labs have just been a little bit muted right now, because this is a big loss for a number of areas at our labs. I'll pause there, but Chelsea, maybe it's worth, we've already talked about some of these other advisory names. I don't think we need to go into those, right?
I don't think so. No.
Okay. So the other thing, what this does, just to be, again, transparency has been one of our core pillars for our labs. And when it comes to the thematic impact token, the loss of Geeta to this area of the business has put a bunch of things into perspective on just when is the right sequence for something like this. The deals and the pipeline had already been there. Again, affordable housing contributions have been made. These are homes that are built. The demethanization plants, these are things that exist. However, just do want to highlight that we have sat back and tried to focus on how do we bring the fastest amount of value and incremental value to, I think, our planet holders, and what can be substantial, especially in today's environment. And right now with what is happening with regulation, again, I don't want to take a regulation cop out, but it is very real. And the capital that is currently on pause, the thematic impact token, while still near and dear to our heart, we're still advancing it. We're in still a ton of conversations on this. We've hired Fenwick as our legal advisor to pursue this. Feels like it is being and is slightly being deprioritized until later this year, as we see higher conviction and value and things that we can do from the brand narrative, PFP upgrades, a couple things on our marketplace, which I'll touch on. So it's not to highlight that this is not our intention. None of this is abandoned. There just has been a reasonable shift, as I'm sure a number of you can appreciate. Our investors who dreamt about this backed Geeta, and they still love the vision and the mission. It's just, we do have to accommodate some of these key decisions that need to happen on this side, but still have all of the conviction in the world to bring these thematic tokens to bear. And after even seeing Coinbase's news today, it feels so validating, because I think we were talking about real world assets being on chain a year ago. And so whether it's us, whether it's someone, I want it to be us, and I want us to dominate that impact sector and that impact asset class. It's super validating to know that tech is catching up, and that these industries and these marketplaces are starting to recognize the true potential here, because that is where I think the next big wave is going to go. So said that in Discord, I'll say it again. It's incredibly validating to see that this move is happening. But we want to be honest with everybody on the timelines of our thematic tokens, and they are pushed a bit behind in our sequence right now in our roadmap. Chelsea, is that fair? Anything else to add?
No, the only thing that I would add is that it's likely more strategic to happen a little bit later anyway. We've seen the market be super repressed from a macro and micro perspective. And so there's going to be some correction that happens in the next 2 quarters. And being able to hit go on this at the right time to create the most value and with all of the team and resources that we need, it's still going to happen. It just needs to be done in a way that's thoughtful to both the macro and microeconomics and team and resources. It's not cheap to develop, by the way, either. It's pretty expensive, and it's gotten more expensive with new legal requirements around it. So all that to say, we're still committed to this bigger picture vision. It is just a roadmap shift and timing and prioritization shift. And vision is still the same. So, yeah.
Perfect.
Ash, do you want to talk? Yeah, we're talkers here. Do you want to talk a little bit about the Species and Rewards portal update? Cool.
Yes. So just reminding everyone has been accruing Species. You've been looking at your token checker. I'm going to speed up just a little bit. The marketplace, a couple of new developments. Actually, we've been watching what Blur and OpenSea. We had a couple of back channel conversations on knowing what was coming. Not necessarily it would go at this extent and to this magnitude, but it's been important to us since day one. We built the custom marketplace with Snag Solutions. I think it's pretty amazing to have a little bit of control over your own destiny, albeit that doesn't open you up to wider markets, but at least we have the infrastructure. Our developers over at Snag and Infinite have been actually working on some tech to use our off-chain token actually in our marketplace. So we will be one of the first to actually do that. All other marketplaces offer this feature, but you have to have an ERC20 custom, or you have to transact in ETH, USDC, something of that nature. So that's what's being developed. It's we want to create both our marketplace and our rewards portal to be fully comprehensive and usable for all of our needs. So they actually get to collapse into one, which is pretty exciting. On the commitment level, I know I wish I had this open for you tomorrow with a couple of these changes and assessing what we need to do with the smart contract. I'm on target for end of March to have the Species Rewards portal ready to roll for you with a couple of, hopefully unique and interesting things for you to be able to utilize it. I see some questions on, will I be able to use this for future token drops? Yes, not everything, but we will make that available. Other questions, do we want to invite other projects to be able to participate on our marketplace? The answer is yes. There are a few that we are in talks with, would love insight and help and ideas from anyone in this community. If you see others, especially underrepresented artists, creators, and people that are trying and finding it very difficult to launch and amplify their own token drops and things, we can integrate that on our marketplace, and we have been set up to do so. The next big component is PFP upgrades will also be integrated in the exact same portal, which is quite exciting. And we've been loving the suggestions from this community on how to implement that. And so without going too far, if you can envision the character development that you can do that lives in metadata, both with naming, helping your own storytelling, lore, background upgrades, other things to really fit and unite as a character in our planet, that's what we're working to facilitate to you. And we are absolutely cognizant that we will not be messing with original rarity scores. There will be things that were crystallized in time, and that these will be additive solutions. So I know a lot of speculation on, can someone just buy their way to the top of the most rare? No, we would never do that. We would never do that to interfere with the original sales. So these are meant to be additions that you can do. Think of them like skins, bonuses, things like that, that we want to be able to add. But the good news is technology has caught up to us. And we have great partners with Infinite 3 and Snag Solutions that are working to build the whole thing together for us. Last questions. I know people were asking about different accrual methods. Yes, these are going to roll out. I cannot and will not guarantee that always a legendary versus a mystic versus a special will always accrue more. But I love the spirit and the nature that for temporary time periods, certain PFPs do mean more. mystics and specials and legendaries do get inherent additional benefits from us, and that will be reflected in things that you will see here shortly, like merch and others, where they will have different access, whether it's either first come, reserve, some different species accrual methodologies, or different alternative benefits that come. But ultimately, we weren't trying to solely build, one of these structures where they have it in perpetuity, but absolutely want to reward and ensure that large holders, those that are, buying for most valuable, feel that we are recognizing that in some way. Keeping an eye on questions from our team. So if I'm sounding jumbled, it's because I'm reading and answering at the same time. Chelsea, can you hit grant program? There's a question on grant. Lots of ideas being shared. What's the plan with the grant program?
Yeah, actually, I'll let Hawaii Marine Life and Vanessa and Riley give an update in Discord, ideally tomorrow, guys. That'd be great. We do want to hear all of your cool ideas, and we're very excited to fund and empower those. There's a process that we want to take in terms of making sure that community grant program gets amplified and as many people within our community and partner communities hear about it as possible, so that it benefits our planet as a whole. I will let them speak to the details on that, and don't want to overpromise and underdeliver on timing there. But Vanessa, Riley, Hawaii Marine Life, if y'all could take a note to please share an update in Discord tomorrow, that would be wonderful.
Perfect. So, yep. The rewards portal, working on for end of March. The timeline is on and being populated with hopefully some awesome use cases for your species, consolidated with our existing marketplace, which I think makes the most sense versus creating way too many off ramps for you to have to go to. You don't need multiple sites. We can do this in one and be one of the first to do it, and be interoperable to work with other projects that can buy and earn species as well. I'm trying to think anything else we needed to cover, Charles.
Complimentary collab token.
Yeah.
Do you want me to hit on that,
Yeah.
or do you want to talk about it?
No, go for it.
Sure.
Go for it.
We realize that the wait has been long for our rewards portal, and we appreciate the patience. So we are working on a complimentary collab token that your species can be used towards. We'll have more details to share on that very soon, but just know that we're grateful for your patience and know it's taken us a little bit longer than we anticipated, but are excited to roll out both the platform and for this complimentary collab token as well. Last couple quick things. I know we're closing out on time here, but we have been working, I know we hinted at it before, but we have been working on a really fun, sustainable wine project for our holders and for our partners. So we're going to be sharing more on that very soon. We're getting final deadlines and dates with our partner in that. And we want to make sure that we don't roll this all out at once and everything has its time to breathe. So we'll be sharing more detail on it, but we'll include things like...
That's a wine pun.
Time to breathe, haha. Time to breathe, haha. It will include some complimentary experiences and tastings and virtual events with sommeliers, and also just give us an excuse to gather as a community virtually and IRL, which we are really excited to do. And on that note, actually, I will be at South by Southwest. I live in Austin, so it's very far for me, but have been planning on hosting a casual event with any of you that are traveling to South by or that are in the area. So hit us up and we will be hosting a small, intimate, probably happy hour, but would love to hear who's in town and connect with you guys. Ash, are there any other questions that we can tackle?
Just going South by Southwest. The sustainable wine, there will be a digital representation of that. That's how it will become a collector's item. Same thing with merch. There will be digital representations of this, of certain chapters. So you do want to hang on to those. They allow you your merch item as well as hold as a collectible for future things. I'm just reading any other questions from Vanessa. Confusion, other projects can buy species, or are they buying it from holders? Good question. So let me clarify. I am building the infrastructure right now to have an on-ramp that if other projects wanted to buy into our ecosystem, they could. Let me clarify. I'm not going to turn that on. We can talk about that collectively as a community. Right now, the only way to earn species is by being an Our Planet holder. But it was important. I wanted to build our next marketplace as interoperable as we could, that if we ever wanted to list Sounds of Our Planet or an Our Planet merch item or something, do you accept that in a USDC payment, or do you force them to have to buy specie? A great question on is the only way to do that is possibly through another holder. Let me consider that. But it was just important I had the technology built from day one. But would not turn that on without community consideration, of course. The goal is everything has to filter through an Our Planet Wanderer to have access to anything. And the whole point of specie was rewarding longevity and loyalty. So I'm not keen on making it super easy for anybody to be able to buy, or it's at substantially lower rates to be able to have to earn their way in. So for all of you that have been here long enough and have been patiently waiting, you guys are the first priority to be able to use specie always. So last question. Web2 partners like Judith Lieber and others, where are some of the Web2 brands and where are those at? Chelsea, do you want to take that or do you want me to?
I think all we can say right now is that we're in conversation with a strategic partner that gives us access to a lot of Web2 partners. And I know that this space loves us to be committing to stuff before things are signed, but I'm not going to do that. So we will give an update on that as soon as we can after paperwork is signed.
Cool.
Is that okay, Ash?
And Judith Lieber, I mean, that relationship is still here. It's just without even having the off-ramp and rewards portal. And then quite frankly, I know we talked about this, I think on 2 spaces ago, trust factor for the space is at an all-time low, not necessarily anything to do with us as a community, us as holders, us as a brand. It's just knowing and understanding some of the reservations that last quarter caused for a lot of people on trust factor. And is this necessarily where they want to be? The answer is yes on a number of partners that we are still in continued dialogue, but it is not flooding the space as it once was a year ago with any and all groups just trying to have access to all of you. So right now it's still a curated list of groups that we want to bring forth, and we will do that in a sequence when we can, when we think it makes the most sense. But yeah, Judith Lieber is still there. Would love to expand on that shortly. I'd love, I can't remember who won. Maybe Riley, you could help us post. I know the second bag went to that winner. I'd love to see some shots of that if they hadn't received it. I think it had to go pretty far across the world, actually, to that winner. But I'd love to see some of these in real life once they're received or if they're comfortable showing. If they haven't sold it, I hope they have it still. Perfect. I think honestly we have it. I'm keeping an eye on any other questions because I hate if we miss people. I'll be on Discord right after this so I can stay and answer any other questions.
Okay. Let's summarize any other cues in Discord or Twitter, and we'll make sure we'll answer them in those platforms. Thank you all for joining us today, and for anyone else that's watching after it's being recorded. As we've shared, there's been some challenges that we've been dealing with behind the scenes, and we appreciate the patience and support, continuing to operate with as much transparency as possible. And we're 100% here for the long haul. And we're honored to be building a brand and a business with folks that are aligned in our mission and vision from a conscious hustler's perspective. And we're excited to hold hands and continue to build a bigger and better future for our planet together.
Yeah. And thank you. If you do see Bjorn to Love or Gita showing up, I don't know how likely she knows you guys know. So if you do see her popping up, feel free to share the love. She's very receptive to this. This is near and dear to her heart. And so she has a hard time staying away. I keep seeing her online, even though we keep telling her to take the space, but feel free. And we'll share. Thank you again for all these well wishes. I can see them online and appreciate the support. Let's leave it at that.
Okay. Thanks, y'all.
Okay, thanks.
Have a great Thursday.